Hey y'all, this is Mike with The Long Shot, and I'm here with Francis Colon, the 2024 AG Cup winner. If you're not familiar with the AG Cup, that is a grueling 3-day PRS match where Armageddon Gear invites out the best of the best, and I'm really excited to dig a little bit into the gear that Francis used as well as the mental game. But before we get into that, that must be very exciting to take away the overall victory for that. What was it like? What were you feeling?
It's a little hard to describe. There's a big wave of emotions that happens when you're trying, when you achieve something that you've set out to do, for 4 or 5 years. But that said, I would say it was fleeting in the sense that you're so in the moment trying to just shoot well, that when it's done, there's about a split second where you realize I don't have any more rounds to fire, and I think I won it. And then everybody started cheering in that split second. You realize you did, and it was so cool to be surrounded by all of my friends.
So going into the last stage, did you know what you had to shoot in order to win it?
No.
Or were you blocking that out or just trying to do your best?
No, I happened to be standing near the leaderboard.
Okay.
I saw it flip, and I'm like, I should have walked away 5 minutes ago, or even 5 seconds. But I knew I saw that I had a 1-point advantage at that point, but I really didn't know. I just immediately said, it's probably not that, because I remember the leaderboard cycles fast. So I sort of assumed that was a temporary change, and I was likely behind. Just go shoot 10 perfect rounds. You got, or 12 in this case.
Was it 12-round stage?
Yes, 12 rounds.
Okay, and what were generally? Do you remember like what the ranges were?
Yeah, 300, 530, 600, 680, 7. No, I skipped one in there, but it was basically 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Oh, so not generally. You remember exactly what they were.
Yeah, it was 938 yards, if I remember correctly.
Okay, and then what was the wind
MOA.
doing that day? I'm assuming the last stage later in the day, the wind can pick up, and this was at the Clinton House, so
yes,
some funky things can be happening.
Wind was all over the place, but it started from the right. I don't remember our cardinal directions, but it was coming from between 4 and 3 o'clock. It's 4:30 to 3 o'clock. Generally more towards 4:30, between 4 to 6 miles an hour. But the way you would shoot it, because of the trees and the terrain, would be anywhere from 1 to 6.
Okay.
So right to left, generally.
Okay.
But you can't talk about wind with competitors at that match. It's what makes it unique. It is you shoot your own match. There's no strategy discussion. There's no win discussion. There's just, hey man, how was your last weekend? Like, yeah, cool. There's no strategy sharing. So
very cool. Okay.
It's an independent match.
So over the course of a 3-day match, what are you doing any conscious mental management, or are you just trying to disconnect your mind from your body and stay in kind of autopilot? How are you approaching the mental game going into day, knowing that it's a 3-day match, which I think most matches are 2 days, right?
Yeah.
So a little bit different there. So talk to me a little bit about the mental management going into day 2 and 3 so that you can stay focused for 300 plus shots over the course of 3 days.
So the strategy is not to think about mental management directly while you're at the match. You need to practice, and I practice knowing beforehand. It's the week to 2 weeks leading up to it that I'm working on my mindset to just say, hey, am I ready? Is my gear prepped? I'm doing things to reduce stressors and anxiety in the 2, 3, 4 weeks before the match. And then so during the match, I've eliminated all those stress points. And then I just, it's now, call it individual stages are their own match. So rather than trying to think of it as if I shoot blank, I win, or if I do this, I get a lead. It's just, no, this is, a stage, perform well. If I can get 90% on this, that's a win. If I 80%, that's okay. But anything less than a 90 or 80, pick it up, let's find an error and move on, and then toss it away mentally. So that is the hardest part about any competitive sport, is not being hyper focused on what you did wrong. It's kind of like anything. You tend to gravitate towards where you look. So if you're driving and you look left, you're going to tend to turn the wheel left, and same thing to the right. That's why they tell you in like performance driving classes to look into the corner. The same thing happens with the psyche and with your prep. If you start looking towards what you didn't succeed at, what you failed at, or how you didn't do something well, you will likely not do those things well. Gravitate instead to what you do well. Hey, I had a great center shot. I had a great first round win call, first round impact. Keep focusing on that, and that will help keep your mindset on the bright side instead of the pessimistic
side.
So
I'm getting a little bit of the Lanny Basham kind of with winning in mind. So focus on the positives, focus on what you did well, and don't talk about the misses. Don't harp on the misses because
Yeah.
what does he say that shrinks your image of yourself and actually makes you
Yes.
perform worse. So I butchered that, but you get the point.
Yes.
Right?
No, you're
So,
100% right. The Lanny is the godfather to help bring the shooting sports into a process-oriented sport. And we are very process-driven.
Right, and that's not easy to do. I've been long range shooting for a long time, but relatively new to PRS, and I was surprised. All everybody talks about is their misses, how many they dropped.
I dropped this, I dropped that.
And it was glass half empty type talking before and after stages, so it's hard to stay focused. I guess at the AG Cup, you can kind of, you're in the elite at that point, so you're probably dealing with that a little bit less, which is nice as well.
Well, and you don't talk about your strategy. You really, just because you're worried about talking about anything, you don't even talk about what you did. You might say, yeah, I did all right. Like, it's very generic when you say, like, how did that go? Yeah, it went all right. And then you can look it up on the leaderboard. It's live, so if you want to know, go look at it. Otherwise, let's not talk about shooting.
Right. Very interesting.
It's a very cool approach to a match because it does, frankly, help you stay out of that negative psyche. If you have a tendency to feed off of other people, the AG Cup doesn't let you do. If you need to walk away, you can, and it's really easy to stay in your own head and just kind of have your own day.
Interesting. Okay, so you won the AG Cup. What gear did you use to do it? Specifically, the rifle setup, the cartridge choice that you were shooting for that match.
Yeah. So I run an ACC Elite chassis. It's our newest, latest, and greatest from MDT. I've been running it now for 2.5, 3 years. I use an Impact 737R action, short action, and I shoot a various cartridges, but I use 26-inch barrels from Bartland with a Area 419 Maverick.
You're shooting the Maverick on the front, right?
Suppressor,
yeah.
Or
suppressor brake,
suppressor,
right?
Yes.
Very cool. And you like that? You're sticking
I love
with
it.
that?
I almost committed to never shooting a match again without a suppressor.
Okay, good
I love
to
my
know.
hearing. I like not having headaches at the end of the day. And
yeah. What about Mirage? Do you get much Mirage? Do you have to have a cover on that brake?
You do need a cover.
Yeah.
It's going to get somewhat hot, but it's not like a full can. It will dissipate heat fairly quickly. It's only about 3.5, 4 inches for the can section, then the brake. So it's a very, very good combination that lets you soften the impulse, so it's not a sharp snap, but it also softens the crack that you hear and the concussion.
Okay.
And that lets me see more because I'm not going to blink. If I don't blink, I see more impacts in a faster time frame.
Yeah, and your
matters.
ROs probably appreciate that as well.
Oh, they do. Every time you're like, oh, thank you for shooting that instead of a break.
Yeah, very cool. And there is the new suppressor class for PRS this year, I believe.
Yes.
So that'll be interesting as well to see if more people are going to cans, more people are showing up with 6.5 Creeds because of the sportsman class.
So I shoot Dasher in 6.5 Creed.
Okay.
And this year, the AG Cup, I shot 6.5 Creed to win the AG Cup. I shot it at the finale.
You did?
I did, yeah.
Wow. So this is interesting because if you look at kind of are you okay on
Yeah,
time?
we're good on time.
Okay, a couple more minutes. We're almost done. It's interesting because it looked like everybody gravitated to the 6s, and now they're coming back. Maybe you could even say back through the 25s, back to the 6.5s. Do you have a specific criteria for what type of match? Maybe it's the location, or maybe it's the weather where you would shoot a 6.5 versus a 6?
Short answer for me, no.
Okay.
This is actually more of a personal goal. It was to shoot back into higher recoiling calibers for a while, rather than just focusing on 6mm. So it was around, I had the idea last summer, actually a summer and a half ago, I had shot the Night Force CLR match with a 300 Norma. And as soon as I came back from shooting that match, I shot 2 PRS matches as 1-1, and then won the next one. I remember. It shot really well at both of them. And I remember thinking, it felt easy. And that shouldn't have felt that easy.
Right.
So I'm like, maybe there's something to working on recoil practice. And at the end of the last season, I was having a good year, but I just really wanted to get committed. I'm going to go just shoot 6.5. We'll see how it runs. And I need the practice with recoil. So actually, I'm shooting it all year this year as well.
Okay,
so
awesome.
It's not really any other secret sauce to go, I want to buck the wind more or less. It's, we're all shooting bullets and calibers that are within a tenth or two, unless you're pushing the extremes of BC and speed. It's really difficult to see that in our practical ranges.
Right. What kind of bullet are you shooting? Are you shooting Burger? Like
Burger 140 hybrid.
140 hybrid.
Yep.
Okay.
At 2800 to 2850.
Okay, very cool. And you like that speed? You think that just listen to your miles to matches again, where you were talking about? I mean, we're talking milliseconds here, but slowing down a little bit and then managing your recoil, you can get a few milliseconds on each end so that you think you're able to get back on target or at least visually pick up where you hit on the plate. Are you sticking by that 20, what'd you say, 28?
Yeah, I'm 2800 to 2840. I don't like being anything over 2850.
Okay.
I find that the time of flight tends to be a little bit too fast for our ranges in PRS. The shorter targets at 300 to 400 yards, it's a little bit too fast. If you get into the 2950 to 3100s, it's just too fast for my eyes anyway.
Right, and you're getting more recoil as well, which
and it's a
is
snappier, quick punch. Yeah, I don't really like that. So staying 2700 to 2850, if you're in that ballpark, I think you have a good mix.
Very cool.
Time of flight and easy to handle recoil.
Right. Yeah, I shoot a 6 Creed, and I've been creeping up, as the barrel's speeding up, and I'm at like 3,000, and so I'm working on backing that off and actually switching over to a dasher this year.
Yeah.
Not because I feel like I needed to, but when I look at
be more efficient.
Yeah, when I look at two-day matches, then my barrel's done, and I have to think about potentially then I have to think about switching another barrel. So that goes back to what you're talking about, having a gear system worked out so that you don't have to worry at a match. Is my barrel going to shoot out?
Exactly.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so you won the AG Cup with the 6.5 Creed, which is very cool. And what type of barrel was that? Did you say?
That was a Bartland chambered by 5x5, Chad's company.
Very cool.
So, yeah, I need a barrel, 5x5 precision. It's won so many matches. That guy just.
I wish Chad was my friend and could just chamber my barrels as well. Very good.
I'm very lucky to have him.
Very handy to have. Okay, so are you making any changes, or do you have any goals related to, you kind of said, hey, I wanted to commit to shooting the 6.5. That was a fun challenge for you. Anything new that you're going to do gear-wise, or new goals you have this year going into the PRS season?
Nothing really new for gear. However, I do have a goal, which is to work on I want to incorporate more fun into my matches because, working for the last 5 years to shoot to the national level and be in the top 5 is a strain. It's very taxing. And I need to be more aligned with, I want to have more fun, but I also want to learn how to get focused and then come out of it and have some fun and then get focused again. So I'm actually just training more on let's call it the mental approach and mental side of shooting to go into flow state, come out of flow state, go in and just learn to train that process so I can just shoot and be relaxed. And
so you don't have to stay locked in for like 6 to 8 hours.
It's so hard.
That's exhausting.
You need to have the roller coaster. Get up in your emotional sort of in your emotional roller coaster. You need hyper focus for about 2 to 3 minutes. That's it. And after that, you need to be on a low energy state and you need to just feel calm and ready to go. And it's training that this year to have more relaxed, have fun, and be in a positive, fun-loving environment.
Absolutely.
That's what I want to work on. So that's what I'm committing to in the next season.
Absolutely. I love to hear that. That's why we all got into the sport, because it was fun. Yeah. You find yourself competing and you ask yourself, am I having fun anymore? And especially if it becomes your job, right? I mean, you work for MGT now, you're full-time there and a shooter as well. I could imagine you want to get back to the original fun that got you into the sport. I'm putting words in your mouth, but I mean,
no, you're dead on. It's just
what you
exploring a little more, having a little more fun. I'm working with some semi-automatics. I'm doing some gas gun stuff. I'm doing some bigger bolt gun stuff.
I love to hear that.
I mean, it's my personal projects just to go see what I can do and what I can have fun with.
Very cool. So, I also, PRS is fun for me. I love shooting DMR style matches, and I think you absolutely.
That was my very first match.
Really?
Ever, was a DMR match, and
I
tied for first.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so just a tie, awesome. Huh? Okay.
It was my very first match. It was like 2016.
That's impressive. Okay, so are you shooting any gas gun matches, or is that just kind of playing around?
I don't know. We'll
fun?
See. No commitments there. This is just hobby, having fun, picking up my ARs and trying to do some work with them and see what they can do.
Very cool. Are you going to go through the process of trying to accuratize them and build the most accurate AR that you can?
They're already pretty good, but I'm just trying to just get back into this. I know bolt guns in and out. I want to get back into ARs and see what matters for me, and can I find ways to make them more consistent, hit better targets, and make them run with my bolt guns. I think it'll be cool.
And what caliber? Are you going to stick with the traditional 5.56 or
5.56 and 6.5 Creed? I have an AR-10 I'm building as well, or a gas gun variant, so I can run gas gun, big, large, and small frame, and just see how they run. Okay, awesome. I built a new caliber this year, 6mm max. That was fun, but sticking with the traditional 5.56, the AR-10, and the 6 Creed, can't go wrong with that. Exactly.
So, thanks for your time today. Again, congrats on your win. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to what you're doing this year. And don't let Chad play that joke on us anymore on the podcast. We need that podcast to keep going. If you don't know Miles to Matches, every 2 weeks now. You said this
Yeah,
year,
roughly
right?
every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, ton of info, ton of good info on PRS, mental management, training, drills, things like that. So check it out. And thanks for doing that. A lot of us really appreciate that. So
Thank you
thanks
for
again.
listening.
Congrats. Appreciate
Thanks,
the time today. Thank you.
Appreciate it.